It's the 10th day of Grotmas, and the Chaos Knights are getting a detachment with actual rules. It's a combined Knights and Cultists rule set. Welcome to the Grotmas Detachment Show, where each and every day from December 1st to the 24th, Games Workshop releases a new detachment for every army in Warhammer 40k. It's an exciting time, and there's a lot to talk about. So let's break it down for you and give you an easy to understand first look at these detachments. Happy Grotmas, everybody! Let's take a look at the Iconoclast Fiefdom. This is a fun detachment that is all about combining cultists with your Chaos Knights, and you're going to be able to sacrifice them for the Dark Gods. I'm going to actually start off with the last ability that they list in the army because it really helps define the rest of them. This is Wretched Thralls. This allows you to have up to 500 points of damned units from the Chaos Space Marines Codex in a 2,000 points game. Effectively, this is going to be 25% of your army, and none of them, of course, can be your Warlord. This will give you a bit of context for the next abilities. With that, let's take a look at Dread Tyrants. This is going to allow your friendly damned units within 9 inches of a Chaos Knight the ability to reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1. Obviously very spicy on those Accursed Cultist units. However, the rest of the detachment I think will encourage as cheap units as possible. Speaking of which, let's take a look at Dark Sacrifice. Each time a Chaos Knight shoots or fights, they can make a Dark Sacrifice. You select a damned unit within 6 inches to take a leadership test, and if they pass, you remove D3 models from that unit, and if they fail, you instead remove 3 plus D3. In either case, the Chaos Knight unit is going to gain your choice of either lethal or sustained hits until the end of the phase. Two amazing keywords that of course define 10th edition. I think it's a really exciting ability, and I love the thematic idea of having these cultists sacrificing them for the Dark Gods. So pretty interesting core rules, giving a very strong theme of 25% of your list filled up by cultists, some of which might actually want to fight, but many of them are going to be fodder for these extra abilities. Let's take a look at the 4 enhancements, starting off with Profane Altar at 20 points. This can only go on a Chaos Knights model, and each time this unit makes a Dark Sacrifice, you automatically inflict the maximum number of wounds, which means if the unit passes their test, 3 of them are just destroyed, and if they fail their test, 6 of them are just destroyed. What this will give you is your Chaos Knights model will gain both benefits, in this case lethal and sustain. I think it's a lot of fun, you might as well take it. This is going to be great on a very offensive knight naturally, and really incentivizes those big boy knights in the table. Next up, Pave the Way, a 15 points upgrade. This is also on a Chaos Knight only, and it's going to grant a 6-inch scout to 3 damned units in the list creation phase. Honestly, it's a great ability. I think you'll take it most of the time. Next up, we have a 5-point enhancement, which is basically free. Each time this unit makes a Dark Sacrifice, you can pick a damned unit in line of sight rather than being within 6 inches. It's a flat upgrade, and as long as you have the 5 points, I don't see you not taking this every single time. Finally, we have Diabolical Resilience, clocking in at 35 points. This Chaos Knights model gains a 6-up Feel No Pain, and they can ignore any or all modifiers to their move, advance, and charge. Very powerful ability, although you are paying a premium. I think this one is also going to be making the cut basically every single time. 4 exciting enhancements. Really it just comes down to where your points are and where you want to prioritize, but I think they're all viable for different reasons. And we have a number of fun stratagems focusing on the same theme, starting off with Avenge the Masters. It's a 1 CP stratagem. When a Chaos Knight dies, the unit who dealt the foul blow becomes marked, which grants lethal hits for damned units against them for the rest of the game. Very situational ability. I think you're only doing this if it's a killer unit from your opponent. Often it's not really going to be mattering. Next up, we have a 2 CP stratagem. This is Wretched Masses, and when a non-accursed cultist unit is destroyed, you can put identical one in reserve without, of course, characters. So this is going to let you recycle one of your units. It is important as you only get 500 points at the end of the day. It's a good thing that they called out non-accursed cultist units because that would be essentially what you save this for each and every time. Soul Hunger is a 1 CP stratagem. After a Chaos Knight unit has fought, if they destroyed any models, they can immediately regain D3 wounds, or if the models were battle shocked, it'll be D3 plus 2. Interesting that it's plus 2 and not plus 3. I guess they're going to be very cautious with healing wounds on these big bad boy knights. Unrestrained Range is a 1 CP stratagem. A Chaos Knight unit can fall back, shoot and charge, or advance, shoot and charge. A very welcome stratagem for an army that does ultimately struggle to get into combat sometimes. And of course, note that we don't have the stratagem to allow them to pass through walls, so this is going to make this an even more important ability to have. Worthless Chattel is a 1 CP stratagem. In your shooting phase, you pick a damned unit in engagement range, and they don't count as being in engagement range anymore. This means you can shoot into that combat, but each time an enemy unit with engagement range of them loses a wound, you roll a dice on a 4+, you also remove a model from this unit as you accidentally hit your cultists in combat. Fun, flavorful, pretty punishing, but I think you'll situationally see it as your cultists tie down units. Preserve the Idols is the final stratagem and it costs 1 CP. This is a 6-inch reactive move for a damned unit that's within 6 inches of a Chaos Knight, that's within 9 inches of an enemy unit that just moved. Again, very situational, and you do have to move as close as possible to the enemy unit, so that makes it even more limiting. I think we'll have to really see how this one comes out on the table to determine how useful it's going to be. And that is the Iconoclast Fiefdom. I think it's a really fun detachment with some pretty strong abilities, being able to bring in just those cultists to shore up the weaknesses of the army, giving some cheap trading units, as well as, of course, the benefits of lethal or sustained, some of the strongest keywords in the game currently. So I think this is a net positive, and I'm really excited to see how it goes on the table. I know that the Chaos Knight players have been really suffering this edition with lackluster and not very powerful rules, so very, very pumped about this one. Let us know, of course, in the comments what you think of it, and what are you looking forward to in tomorrow's release.